Well, I better grab my bag because for the next 5 days we're gonna be spending up in the north of Sweden in a place called Hälsingland. We're gonna be going around by boat, catching a ton of pike, learning about the local culture of the area and the history of the different locations and awesome structures we're gonna be looking at throughout the journey. We're gonna be cooking awesome food and going to an abandoned Cold War military base with tons of old Swedish aircrafts. This is gonna be an awesome video, so make sure to watch to the end because this is gonna be my best one yet. Trust me. We have now arrived at the first location where we're gonna be staying for the next week. Look at this nice view. Today we're gonna be heading out on this lake fishing. Got this massive blue boat over here. We're just gonna be using these Viking oars, you know, doing like the Vikings did, just like oaring our way. Unfortunately, we won't be raiding anything. You notice instantly the difference between a lake in southern Sweden and northern Sweden. In the difference of the color of the lake, it's way more blue and clear. In southern Sweden, everything is like green, kind of dirty, and it's divided into like two sections. One section here, the smaller one, and then the bigger one over there. If you go through that little strait, you will go into the bigger part of the lake. We didn't actually have an anchor, so we came up with a pretty good solution for this. We found this old, kind of rusty hammerhead, some old hammer, and just fit like this rope through it, and boom, you got an anchor. I'm using a simple, like golden-ish spoon bait right now. Hopefully we can catch some type of pike or maybe a perch or something. Whoa. You know it's a good throw when you can't even see where it lands. Then you know it went really far. Det var fast.
Jag stannar av. Här bromsar.
Nej, det är bara sjögräs. Åh, nej!
Det är fisk, det är fisk, det är fisk.
Ser du den?
Den måste ha
fisk! Ja! Den är på.
Bra, tur. Oj, oj, oj.
I just caught a little small pike, but it went off my bait. The reason why it went off so easily right alongside when it was around the boat was because it was so weakly hooked. The reason why my hooking was so weak was because I barely even noticed that there was a fish on it. I thought it was just like some seaweed or something. Like that pike, I have never caught a pike that did that little resistance. Like the last pike I caught was 9.5 kilos. I'm taking up my bait right now because we're going through a little bit of a strait. As I explained to you earlier, this lake is kind of weirdly shaped. It's like a small part of the lake and then a big part of the lake, which are separated through a little strait. Oh, look at this. Look what I found there. This is an abandoned floater just laying here in the lake. This is most likely from an abandoned cage. So basically you would take a cage and put it down into the bottom of the lake. Put in some bait, the fish would swim into the cage, and then you just return here like in the morning, take up the cage and it will be filled with fish. Me and my dad would do a lot of this types of fishing, cage fishing in the north of Sweden in a river. We would put down these cages and you would get a ton of perch. Look at that, that's such a weird place to put up some hunting cabins. There's some small hunting towers there. I've never seen anyone have this. Well, maybe they're trying to snipe the moose as they're trying to swim across the lake. Kind of goofy, I've never seen that before. Whenever you're in a boat and someone is rowing, I'm always thinking about like the Viking age. That's the first thing which comes to mind for me. Because I'm just thinking of like, you know, we're Swedish, we're Scandinavian, and I'm thinking about like the Viking age where men would be going around in the long ships, the North Sea, going to England towards the Black Sea. Like there's these insanely long distances, even going to Greenland, Iceland and to North America. Oh man, my second fish is kind of big. Look at this. Crazy. Come on, this is like, I've caught my second fish. This is, by the way, how fish sticks are made. This is actually weird. Throughout all the years that I've went fishing, I've never actually caught one of these. I've seen, you know, people make jokes about catching sticks in like cartoons and stuff, but like I've never actually caught the stick. It kind of looks like a Y, and it kind of gets me thinking, like, why did I get this? Like, come on, this is useless. Leave me, stick fish. Man, I haven't been rowing in a boat for like a year. It's so fun to finally be back on the lake with an actual boat. Last time when I was fishing, I didn't have a boat this big either. Like me and my brother, we would be standing in like a really tiny boat. it would be super like shaky and the wind would be crazy. You could barely stand up in it because it was just feeling so risky. It felt like you couldn't stand up in it without falling over. A pro tip when it comes to rowing, make sure to use your entire body to tilt backwards. You can use so much force just from your body backwards. This is how you would like row in like a Viking longship at one point. Putting down the anchor. The anchor didn't work and we have now went onto the land because the anchor kind of snared itself together there. But that's good anyway because I can go for a little quick pee in the woods and then we'll get back fishing. Oh man, we're leaving land now. We're leaving land. I got done with my pee break, aka raiding England. We're leaving England right now. Man, we have taken all of the English stuff. We have taken so much of their stuff. All of their tea and biscuits. They have no tea and biscuits left. Everyone knows that when you make loud noises when you throw out your fishing rod, it makes it go further. Oh man, we're only catching very small pikes and sticks shaped like an eye. This is not going too well. I'm just a chill guy catching 0 fish, but at least the view is very nice. At least the weather is good. Or technically I didn't actually catch 0 fish. I just love smacking my rod. Can anyone agree? It's kind of satisfying when you throw out your rod and you just go patch, smash down. Man, moving around in this boat, I mean it's pretty okay. I've been through worse, so it's not that bad actually, but
Nah.
oh. I'm causing earthquakes just by stepping around it. We've been out with a boat for some time now and I think I'm gonna have a little quick snack. It's an absolutely fantastic snack actually. I mentioned this before, just like eating cheese anytime. People always take cheese and put it on something else. How about just eating cheese as it is? Some French chèvre cheese. I think it's like goat cheese. Only idiots buy protein bars. Who would do that when you can buy a chèvre cheese with about the same amount of protein? It's like 30 grams of protein in. Man, this cheese, it's just clearly goated. You get it. It's goat cheese. Dad joke 101, that's awesome. Speaking of people who are idiots because they buy protein bars, I brought a protein bar as well with some chocolate cake flavor. Who knows what that tastes like? Well, a little chocolate protein bar, I don't know. Usually I don't like protein bars. It might just be because I'm really hungry, but it's actually pretty good. I like it. Seems like we're done for today, so we're going back now. Good morning. Oh man, wake up to this awesome view. It's just absolutely gorgeous. This entire place with this amount of just like farmland is such an open area, which is kind of crazy to me because usually when I'm up in the far north of Sweden, this isn't that high up, to be fair. This is like in the middle part of northern Sweden, to be honest. But it's just so open here. There's some farmland. Reminds me a lot of home. Going on a little bit of a morning walk today. Just explain to you a little bit what we're gonna be doing today. It's pretty cool actually. You can see here on the dirt, also the trail. You can see the trails where the tractor has been going. This area is where we're gonna be staying for the next week and it's awesome. Not only is it just like very traditional Swedish type building architecture. You see the old red falukoppar, it's the color, right? That's the color of a dye. That's a very specific type of dye you have in Sweden. Basically in a city in Sweden called Falun, you would mine at one point tons of copper. Sweden would be one of the biggest copper producers in all of Europe, and Sweden would be known for putting copper, building copper out of everything, just having tons of copper. When making copper, it's this red dye color, so we had just tons of this red dye color, so people just figured out it looks nice on buildings, because if you don't put some type of paint on wood, eventually the wood will turn black and it will look kind of bad, like it will just like look like it's rotting old. You put some red dye onto it and it looks new and clean, and then you put some white dye around the windows and that like cool color pattern is created. I just love this architecture. You'll see it everywhere. If you go to Sweden or even Norway, right, or even Finland, and you just pay attention, you look at the architecture, you will see this, like this building thousands of times, and I love this architecture. It's so nice. All these buildings are from the 1800s. You can even see up here, it's written. I don't know if you can see. it says 1849. So I figured let's go and look at some stuff in here. I can't show all of it because it's kind of personal. I don't want to just like show personal photos or anything, so I'm gonna skip some parts, but I'm gonna show you some parts. You remember that farmland where I was just walking out there? These are farmers from the early 1900s, I think from 1901, 1910, something like that. So it's over 100 years ago. I mean, just look at this. This is like an old drawer with this art, flower art. We'll see this within this entire buildings. You'll see all this very characteristic flower art, everything. And here you see even a crown, like, see more flower art. And then you see the date up here. 1802. This is like the Napoleonic War. That's how old this thing is. This is over 200 years ago. 223 years ago was this thing made. That is absolutely crazy when you think of it. Okay, I am aware that there's a couple scary dolls here and you might get the spooks and think that the dolls are gonna jump up and stab me. Okay, that might happen. Okay, to be fair, if that happens, that's my fault. But hey, this is actually not that scary. Okay, maybe at night, but right now it's not. This is a pretty cool room and those dolls are here because this used to be a room where people would have home birthed. Because back in the day, obviously 200 years ago, you didn't go to the hospital to get birth. Everyone would get home births. Obviously, a lot of people still do it today at home. But, you know, there wasn't even an option of doing it at the hospital. Everyone would do it at home. And this room would be the room where people in this area would be going to have their at-home births. Here you have some old tapestry. There's old paint, original from the 1800s. You can kind of see that. This thing contains several books which are like 200 years old. You open up this little thing. I want to be very, very careful. I don't want to touch any of these really. You can even see here. Look here, Biblia. That's a Bible. That's a 200-year-old Bible. Look how thick it is at this point. There are several other books, mostly Christian books, like Missions, Herren of Davids stam. Here says something about Martin Luther. So this entire top layer is mostly just Christian-related books from 200 years ago. What I also noticed when just like reading the title is, you see here, Herren av. The word av, which means off in English, is written differently today, because in the 1800s we had kind of like a completely different way of writing many things. Because in the early 1900s Sweden kind of had like a standardization thing, you could say. Of today is written with a A and a V. At this point it was written with an A and an F. And which is really interesting is that in certain languages, like in Icelandic, they still write this way. And Swedish obviously comes from Old Norse originally, right? And Icelandic kinda still is Old Norse. It really never changed that much, right? So I often say it's a funny thing that further back you go, Swedish gets more and more like Icelandic. This is how a Bible would look like 200 years ago. Here we have Leviticus, and it says everything. Just look at the text, the way it looks. Hard for me to read this. It is in Swedish, but because of the font, and also there's some differences in the way it was written. Obviously, if I went back 200 years ago, I would understand what they're saying without any problem. But, you know, the writing differences, the font, it just makes everything really hard. I'm surprised that it looks so good. Here, someone made an X. Whoa. And that's it. Obviously, making books was a lot harder and different back in the day, so I could imagine that they were a lot thicker at this point. In this part of Sweden, this is a really traditional way of making these walls. You would make these flower arts on it. Man, this little room, it looks like a little apartment building somewhere, but it's just like out here in the countryside. It's so cozy, this little room. I would like to have a room this nice. It's a little bit like worn down. And here you'll find a pretty funny thing. Look at this. Look at what I just found. This is an old Charlie Chaplin figure. I have no clue how old this might have been. It might be 100 years old. Actually, when did Charlie Chaplin even exist? I'm not even sure. I've never actually watched like a Charlie Chaplin thing because it's a bit too old, but I still know who it was, right? And he has the funny mustache. Look, man, look at this little figure. And I'll put it back. Oh, look at this old radio. Cool. I might be a bit of a weirdo. I feel like a lot of people, they don't like history as much as I do, to the point where they like appreciate these like very small, maybe insignificant things like, oh, the art that is on the wall or something like that, or a stove or something like that. But I feel like everything, even the mundane stuff, is really interesting. Now we're gonna be entering probably my favorite room in this entire house. This is very interesting actually. Look at this. Look at this tapestry. All this art. There's a deer chilling on an island, a guy in a boat, a house, some trees. I mean, it's not the best art in the world. I feel like this is something you would do like in arts class back in school, right? Like, it's not super advanced painting, but hey, I think it's pretty charming. You look at this. It's a guy with his rifle. He's going on a hunt with his dog for this deer. Obviously, that's what it's depicting. Look, they drew him levitating. Why is he levitating over the ground? I'm like critiquing a painting that was made 200 years ago. A poor guy who made this just for some guy to show up like 200 years later, critique him for painting a guy floating over the grass. Or maybe actually he's not floating. Look at this. He's just really athletic. He's holding up his entire body, standing on the rifle. Whoa, the proportions are crazy. Look how small those people are, and there's a massive sail, but it's so much smaller than that. A bit of weird proportions, but hey, even here, look at this. Look at the proportions. We have this super small, really big ship, and here we have this guy who's bigger than one of the sails, and this dude, he's like a literal giant compared to that. I'm gonna give a little bit of criticism to whoever painted this. If you're watching this, I know I'm 200 years late with critiquing your paintings, but you need to work on the proportions. They're a little bit off. This guy is like a literal giant. Or maybe I'm just creating a new conspiracy theory. 200 years ago here in Hälsingland, Sweden, there used to be massive giants wearing hats that would literally be the size of a house, and they would just like attack these boats, and these guys would go hunting for them. That's why they don't exist anymore, because humans went with their guns and made the giants over here go extinct. Wow, here's another painting here, just like a bit of a house, very cool house. Here in Hälsingland, Sweden, there is 7 of these areas looking like kind of like this house does, right? Which are considered UNESCO heritage sites, actually. So they're protected and everything. You can go visit them. This is a privately owned place, right? There are similar areas to this, right? 7 of them. Oof, that was really cool. We can check out another house right next to it. This right here reminds me a lot of a house which my great-granddad actually built. We used to have in our area a pretty similar house to this. This right here is what we in Sweden call bagarstuga. Basically it means like a bakery house, like small bakery house. Well, instantly inside of the baking house you get greeted by this. These are some old newspapers which they have framed. So it mentions something about Norway, Ireland, America. Said it's probably not the 1800s. It is. It says 1890. That is absolutely insane. But basically you would put in fuel here. Here's the fuel tank. You'll throw stuff in there, and on top of here you have a massive area where you would cook everything. Here on the wall there's even like an old art. Pretty cool actually. I feel like I'm using the word old like a million times in this video, so I'm sorry if I'm abusing it. You see what this is? This is an old iron. Basically, when you iron your clothes, right? Normally, obviously this doesn't have electricity or built in anything. The way you would iron stuff back in the day is you would put them on something really hot and let that heat up. Then it would be hot. And then you would have your clothes and just put that heated up cast iron on top of that. And that's basically how you would be ironing your clothes back in the day before we had electricity. This is an old, basically like wood gripper. My family would have been like a lot in the lumber industry. So you basically use these 2 edges to pinch the wood. You would make the top grab it, which would make this pinch together. Here you have a 5 kg weight. I mean, you didn't have dumbbells back in the day, but you could still do bicep curls with these, I guess. Weirdly enough though, the coolest thing which I found inside of this building, it might not seem that impressive, but to me it's just like really cool. Look at this. This ball, this is Pommac. You know, obviously in Sweden we have our own sodas, tons of them actually. We have Trocadero, which is probably the most famous I think in Sweden, as well as Julmust. But this is a lesser known, probably a lot of people in southern Sweden don't hear about this one. But my dad specifically, he loves Pommac and another one called Guldus, which are mainly just found in northern Sweden. He grew up drinking mainly this and Guldus, and for me it's also quite nostalgic. You don't see Pommac in southern Sweden at all, but in the north you go there, you see this everywhere. What is interesting about Pommac is just like the old bottle. I mean, look at it. Not only is it a glass bottle, everything unfortunately today is, you know, plastic, which isn't that good, you know. I'm not a fan of plastic, not only because it's bad for your health, gives you microplastics, and it's bad for the environment. Everyone knows about plastic pollution in the ocean. So that's one benefit of using glass, you know, it's just really... And also, have you guys just noticed that glass tastes better? It's just weird. It feels like drinking stuff out of glass just tastes better. If you've noticed it, I just feel like, and it says like a little description here. It says Pommac, clean carbonated soda drink. And then there's this logo with some fruit and stuff. Right here, that was made like 20 minutes away in Söderhamn, which is, as I stated, the biggest city. It says Söderhamn Bryggeri, which basically means Söderhamn Brewery. You know, today when you buy something in the grocery store, it always says on the back like the calories and what is inside of it, like ingredients. Here, it just says nothing. It's just like, trust me, bro. I mean, dude, it's just carbonated soda. I mean, how bad can it be? Just trust me with this. It doesn't matter if you're in Spain, Russia, Greece, or in the far north of Sweden. You'll see the same type of measurements. You'll see everyone using kilometers. You'll see people using kilograms and grams. It's only in America and Britain, really, where you don't use these modern types of measurements, right? But here it says all the original Swedish ones we used before we changed. And it's interesting because you still kind of use foot, I think, in America, right? Or you say feet, right? Feet. Here we have our own measurement, which used to be, we had some of these called tum, foot, we had kaplan, we got korn. That's really cool. That's like grain. Crazy. We would be using one anchor. One anchor as a measurement for water volume. One anchor is supposedly is around 40 liters. That's crazy. You can see some of the measurements. We also have some other goofy ones like one keg and it's just one can. Like, it's like, what is one can? Obviously, I'm so happy that we don't use these anymore, or even worse, imagine if we use like American measurements where it would be like one bald eagle. It's later in the day. The sun is going down. You know, it's getting kind of cinematic, you know. It's running a clock. It's that like David Goggins clock is hitting in your back of your head that you need to get up and start running. I like sprints, 100-meter sprints. So you do like 100 meters just like super sprinting, calm down, just walk for a bit, and then you do a 100-meter sprint again. That's basically what I'm do most of the time if I run. If I run, because it's not that often, I'm gonna admit. Recently I felt that I should start working on my cardio a bit. Anyway, we are currently just like walking in the part of the interwall, and we're going towards that church over there. That's a medieval church. Me and bro are gonna do a race over to that bridge where there's a little bit of a small creek. I'm probably gonna go to that creek later and fish. Maybe 100 meters. We're gonna race from over there around this place, ending over there. And yeah, I think I'm pretty confident I'm gonna get this. I just gonna keep on warming up because I don't wanna snap something, so get injured. Är du redo? Ja. Okej, vi kör på 3 då. Ja. Okej. 1, 2, 3. Let's go, kom igen! Kom igen! Good. Let's go! Let's go! Whoa! Aha! Man, Usain Bolt could never beat me. That was clearly a lie, but I don't care. I'm gonna pretend. Man, look at this little creek. There's a little helmet laying here on the ground. When we were driving here, there were some kids who had biked here with their bikes and set up here alongside the creek. And I actually waved to them through the window. Weird, they dropped one of their helmets here. That's kind of sad. He's running! He's running from me. They don't know me, son! They don't know me! Who's gonna carry the boats? Who's gonna carry the boats and the logs? Från den gamla kyrka. There's a pretty interesting story over here. Because in this area, Trönö, there's 2 churches. Which is kind of strange for this little town. This is called the Old Church. Over there, there's a church called the New Church, which we're gonna look at another day. Probably the best and the oldest well-preserved church in all of the area called Norrland, which is basically the entire northern part of Sweden. Look at this little stone wall coming around it. Whoa! Look at that clock tower. This almost looks like a stave church, if you know what I'm saying. You know, in Norway, there tends to be a art style of churches made out of wood. We're kind of high up north, but you can still see the medieval architecture. This is in the southern part of Norrland, so it's not super high up north like in the far north. So you can still see that this was made in the medieval age, in the 1200s originally. Well, it's getting kind of dark now and the dogs are barking at us. And you won't be able to see without this light on, so I guess we're gonna run back now this entire way. I'll see you tomorrow and the next day. We have some great things planned for tomorrow. I'll see you. Let's have a little snack. First of all, I found this pretty interesting little sign. Look at this. Look at this. This is an old, like, you see here, Kellogg's, like the guys that made the original cornflakes. Honestly, this is like breakfast propaganda when you really think of it. This is like very American, but this right here is some Polish cheesecake called sernik. I mentioned it in some other video. Loaded with protein. The entire cake in its fullness is like 220 grams of protein. My dad actually baked this at home and he sent me a little piece with me on this journey. So really nice for a little snack together with some blackberry juice. What is quite strange is that even though we're very much out there, there's not a lot of people living here. There is an absolutely massive church at this location. Despite the fact that it was made originally in the 1800s, it looks quite modern. It's because it actually burned down in 1998, meaning it had to be rebuilt. And because of that, it got a very unique look to it. You can see the middle part of the church is kind of empty. The church actually only contains a little bit of a building at the end. Meanwhile, the middle part is this large open area, which I think is pretty cool actually. It's a very unique design. I haven't seen anything like this. Another interesting thing about this mass church is that it's locally built. All the bricks made to make this church comes from a local brick factory, which they actually used to have in this area. And right next to the church are two very cool artworks actually. Here is the first artwork, which basically depicts the murder of a bishop from the 1200s in France. And basically this artwork was originally on a little bit of a chest which existed inside of the church, which originally came from France, but we actually have no clue how it made it here, so that's a bit of a mystery, but it's a cool artwork nonetheless. Anyway, on the other side of the road is this artwork, which is depicting a pilgrim. It's called the Pilgrim, which is basically the stamp of this local region. Every single area in Hälsingland has like a local stamp, a symbol. And this apparently has been the symbol for this area since the Middle Ages, so that's pretty cool. I like the little statues. I like bro's beard and mustache. He looks kind of handsome, bro. Okay, another day, but today it's a bit more rainy, at least no wind. Looking pretty cinematic today, a bit rainy, a bit foggy, but it's usually like these types of rainy days can actually be really good for fishing. Don't get scared going out when it's a little bit like this. Well, we're back through the strait like we were last day. A bit rainier this time. We're going through the Strait of Gibraltar or something, I don't know. I'm gonna throw out my line and then I'm just gonna row with the boat and hopefully we'll catch something on the way. This is a great way to find a spot. This is a really beautiful lake and I actually don't mind this type of weather, as long as it's not pouring down like insane and it's windy. It's worse if it's windy and raining at the same time and the waves are massive. Hey, let's go! First fish of the day. Okay. Oh, it's a pike. No. Oh, it's a pike, it's a pike. Oh, look at this tiny pike. It's not even worth to pick pikes this small up. Oh man, it's so small. I've seen perches bigger than that. And I'm dual wielding 2 fishing rods at once. I'll hold them to the side so they don't, you know, get entangled with one another. Strawberry protein bar. It's alright, it's alright. I actually thought it would be better. It's a bit too chewy for my liking, but hey, it's alright, pretty good. At least it's something. If you're hungry, it doesn't really matter, does it? Really peaceful right now. The wind has finally stopped. And because this is spring and not summer, usually in summer, obviously, if the wind stops, that means that's the time when the mosquitoes show up. Right now, it's in the spring, it's a bit cold, so no mosquitoes, despite the fact that it's very just like calm all around right now. Yeah, but yeah, I got something now. Let's go. We were just about to return back. Oh man, this one is actually, this one is fighting. Det måste rulla. Oh. I think it's a pike. It's definitely a pike. I'm feeling that it's a pike. Oh, it's actually fighting. Look at a pike. Here, mer.
Så.
Oh, perfect. Okay, we don't have much time more to go fishing, but I think we're gonna keep this pike actually. It's not that big, but that's not really an issue because you don't want to keep the really big pikes, because when a pike gets really big, it also gets kind of slimy and disgusting, and it means it's old. You kind of want to keep the smaller pikes. So I think we're keeping this one. Look at it. This hook sat so deeply inside of this pike. That's absolutely ridiculous. Pike! I haven't caught a pike in a while, but it's not that huge. It's pretty long, to be honest. But hey, little guy, you will be coming with us home. Creek we have been going past quite some time now. It's looking kind of interesting. Someone told me that you could actually fish maybe here, so I don't know. I'm just gonna make a very quick stop and see if I can catch anything. We're right now standing underneath a bridge, actually, pretty close where we're staying. I've heard from someone that apparently there should be grayling or something in this, maybe even trout. I think I had something on it, but it went off. Maybe it was just nibbling on it. Anyway, I'll just throw it out again, hopefully. Okay, so I've been standing here float fishing for some time. I was not confident in this spot at all. Someone told me to go and try this spot out. It doesn't look too good. I mean, it's a cute little bridge. I'm basically like a troll hiding underneath the bridge. If you have ever heard of all those Scandinavian stories of like trolls who are hiding underneath the bridge, and then people walk over it and then the troll shows up and scams them or something. And there's this Swedish story about like the three goats. One small goat, one middle-sized goat, and one big goat, which goes over the bridge. And there's a troll which lives underneath it who shows up and tries to scam them. But then the big goat shows up at the end and like beats the troll. So I'm essentially that troll, and I haven't seen any goats so far, so I think I better leave before they show up. It's a beautiful morning once again. I'm going on the same morning walk. This time I realized that we have been out for some days now. I haven't worked out in a while, so I'm just gonna do some very light training, maybe some push-ups and some handstands. Just gonna try to maintain my calisthenic skills. Okay, that was like the most speed run workout session ever. Whoa, I just went up from those very steep stairs. Man, look at this little cute chair I got here. Oh man, this chair, I don't think it quite fits me. It's a bit scary standing up here because it feels, a bit, suspicious. Like I'm gonna fall through the floor or something. Look at this. This is probably very old. And even though this just looks like an empty area with a bunch of like furniture and stuff just laying around, some of it is actually from a factory which used to be running just next to this barn. Apparently this is supposed to be a pull-up bar. Let's do some pull-ups inside of the barn. kind of sketchy. There's even some silver tape on the side holding that pull-up bar up. I mean, look at this nice view out of this window. You might be thinking, who is this very handsome Texan man? No, this is not actually Texas. This is literally just like a bar with like a western theme with within this barn. It's really strange. Look at this, they have a bar here with lighting and everything. It looks like a real bar. And this is not bad. POV, you're Arthur Morgan and you have just showed up from a long day of riding your horse. You come to the bar, I give you some beer. You're chilling here with me. I'm your Texan friend with that clear, I got the most clear Texan accent ever. This is clearly how ex-Texan people be speaking. Though I'm a little bit too skinny to be from Texas. I should be a little bit like a couple more tons. Look what I found. Darts. Feeling the vibe, I gotta try it out. Look at me, I'm a clear American. I'm a cold-blooded American Texan. Yeehaw! Shooting guns, cowboy, eating hamburgers, freedom, bald eagle. I'm 100% American, guys. So I should be able to hit this. If I hit this, I get a US citizen. Okay. Okay, come on, come on. Oh, that wasn't even that bad, to be honest. Breathe. Okay. Oh man, this is really hard. Maybe I'm not American. If I hit this better than I hit the last two, then I'm gonna renounce my Americanness and I become British. I won't be able to wear this cowboy hat anymore. I will instead be wearing like a monocular. Okay, good sir, let's hit this immaculate shot in it, bruv. Okay. Oh, that was awful. I don't even want to talk about it. That was just embarrassing. Okay, let's take this hat off. A friend told me actually that this little house here, even though it's a bit unclear to know what it actually originally was for, this house is apparently from the 1500s. They dated it. This right here is an old factory from the 1800s I was talking about. This factory originally produced things such as furniture and different type of stuff here locally. There were actually a lot of factories around this area locally. That massive cathedral I showed you earlier, made out of bricks, the new one, which burned down and was rebuilt. It was actually built originally by bricks from this local area, very close by actually. Which is very rare because nowadays, you know, you always, you know, get bricks from a completely different part of the country or outside of your country even, imported. But here, this time, you would literally just like use the materials you would have just like a couple kilometers away in the same local area. You would take the bricks, use it to build a cathedral or the church. Technically it's a church, but it's a really big one, so I like to call it a cathedral, but it's not technically correct. But yeah, this is the old factory from the 1800s. It has been completely in decay and abandoned. You see the windows are shattered. No one is trying to maintain this at all, so it's collapsing on itself. But let's see if we can get in. I think I got the right keys to actually open this up and see if... Man, oh, unfortunately, I think they gave me the wrong keys. And none of them work on this one. I don't think I'm getting in. I can't see through the window, but maybe if I hold up the camera, you can see through what's going on in here. Whoa, there's a spider web we gotta look out for. Once again, we're back at the lake. We have gone through some rough days in terms of the weather, but today the weather is actually really beautiful. Now, once again, we're gonna make a final run through that strait. The Strait of Gibraltar or whatever. Yes. What a beautiful day to just go rowing. The weather is kind of shifting now. It has been sunny and now it's not sunny anymore. Starting to get a little bit hungry. I'm gonna eat some strawberry dates to give me a little bit of energy. We're going so fast right now with the boat. We are rowing to England. We are going to England right now. We are gonna raid you again. Second time, second attempt to England. And to Normandy, and to Sicily. POV, this is how Leif Eriksson got to North America. Man, this fishing day is going awful. At least the weather is nice. Well, that was a nice day fishing. Let's go back and get some food. Put some sliced potatoes into the air fryer. Okay, I've begun cooking up some dinner. Gonna make some tuna Polish shorek soup with some pasta inside of it. I'm boiling it right now. Okay, perfect. Cooking up some bacon. Okay, bacon is looking kind of done. I'm gonna put it here on the plate together with some of this. Bacon, salmon, and the soup is looking pretty good. Okay. Oh look, the air fryer is done with all the potatoes. This is looking awesome. Whoa! Oh, this is looking good. Gordon Ramsay, who are you even? Look at this. We got some smoked salmon. We got air fried potatoes with a bunch of butter, way too much butter. We got some bacon. We got some salmon. We got some cooked onions, a little bit of a Coke. And then we got this nice tuna Polish soup type thing. Oh man, this is gonna be so good. I haven't ate anything for hours. Actually, like the best onions I've ever had. That was clutch. I don't know if it's just because I'm so hungry. Let's try out this bacon. Man, yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. I mean, everything on this plate is just absolutely ridiculous. I went all in. It's like we got cooking DLC in life or something. Let's try the soup out. Oh man, that was brilliant. That was actually way better. I put some quark into it as well. Just adds a little bit of nice flavor to it as well. Give a nice piece of quark with it. Well, I finished up on dinner now and that was absolutely amazing. I'm now gonna head to bed and I'll see you tomorrow. Me and bro have been competing now on some air. Basically, this is not a real rifle, by the way. This is an air rifle. I don't have the hunter license quite yet. I've been speaking of it in a couple of videos or so, but maybe in a couple of 3-4 months or so I'm gonna get the real thing. But here is an air rifle and it's pretty fun, you know, to just play around with this, even though it's not even that far away. The sight on this is not that good, obviously, because this is not meant to shoot in a long distance. And then you just fire. Snyggt. Boom. Yeah. At a old airplane military base, right, which is currently abandoned, has been turned into a museum from the Cold War, when Sweden had a really big air force, especially compared to its population, because Sweden is a pretty small country population wise, but despite that we had a very unproportionately big air force, and one of the best air force actually. A lot of people in Sweden are very proud of, especially like the airplanes. Let's head in. Look, there's the flag of the air force. Man, I didn't think this would be this spooky. Look at all these dolls. I have like a weird fear for like dolls. Whoa, look at this. This is even another symbol of Hälsingland's symbol with the goat. Look at this drippy dude with his outfit, with the Air Force symbol. Whoa, this one looked really cool. Man, look at this. This looks so cool. This is the Norwegian one. Painting of the Coast Guard, the helicopter they would have in the Coast Guard when a ship sunk in the Baltic Sea. And they sent out these helicopters, the Coast Guard, to go out and save as many people as possible. Whoa! Oh, they're being fired. This is the Hercules massive plane. It's a miniature version. This entire room is just a bunch of miniature versions of all the planes. Oh, it looks like a space helmet almost, because they would have to go so high up that they didn't have any oxygen, obviously. This is like the radar station this guy worked. Look, this is exactly how I meant. When the Coast Guard would help people, they would send someone down and grab them, then take them up into the helicopter. This is what you do when you can't afford a real flight simulation. This is the Swedish symbol right underneath the wing. I'm underneath this massive airplane. It's huge. And I'm underneath this wing and it's like completely dark. Look at this. That's the airplane I was underneath. This massive thing. Those mags were to this massive gun on the side. So I'm looking around this massive airplane and it's like it has this big hole where the motor is, and it's like, I noticed, what is bro doing inside of here? Like tickle 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 tickle. What is he doing? This is actually kind of funny. They're showing that there's like a mechanic inside of the airplane, because this is the motor. You don't want any debris or anything to kind of fall into the motor, because that would ruin it and the plane would obviously not work, so someone had to like climb into the entrance of it to go into the airplane and make sure that there isn't any debris going into the motor. That's kind of funny. Hey, what are you guys looking at? This is napalm bombs from the 60s. Obviously you can't use napalm today because I think that would be considered a war crime, but at this time you could have napalm bombs at the side of your massive airplane and just drop them.
85. Amerikansk. Det är kanonen.
This is one of the second newest planes, so it's not even that old. It's absolutely gigantic. Oh, my buddy over there on the other side of the museum is calling. I gotta head over. This is the Mega Kaboom, a German bomb capsule. It just drops up tons of like mines and stuff, so it will, you know, hinder tanks and other stuff on the ground. It's absolutely huge, dude. Mega Kaboom bomb, super mega boom. Though I could mention that it's kind of illegal to use. You can't actually use these. Motor. This was inside of one of those planes. This is probably the coolest name of all of them. Draken. That means the dragon. The dragon or draken is from the 60s. And it could basically do most things, but it was very known for being very fast. It was actually probably the first plane that was able to do the Cobra maneuver, which basically is two planes are chasing one another. One plane is going and one is behind the plane. You don't want to be in front of the plane because it's going to be firing at you. But what you can do is that if you're in front, you can flip around like this, go around and then shoot at it from the back, and that's a Cobra maneuver. Here's the jet engine. My head would have been blasted off if I stood here when it was actually launching. There's a different symbol on it, which means it was stationed at another location. It has the symbol of where in the country it was stationed. Look at this. This is the helicopter. This looks like some type of thing you would see in like the Vietnam War or something, but obviously this is Sweden, so not the same thing, but that's the first thing that comes to mind for me at least. There's a tanking car you would fuel up, use to fuel up other cars. Look at this, all the places where the cannons are. They're here on the side, here, and here on the other side you have two more. Warning is a rocket chair. Rocket chair referring to the fact that you could get launched out of the chair, you know, in case of having to escape it. Okay, we have now made it to the main city in this area called Söderhamn, right around the coast. It's called Söderhamn, which literally just means South Port or South Harbor. Look at this, 1894. Whoa, this is a pretty good view of the entire city of Söderhamn. It's very interesting how it was made. Usually, you know, cities around Sweden were made for the purpose of just like people just settling there because it was good farmland or something. This city was made by Gustav II Adolf, Gustav II Adolf, the guy basically who fought in the 30 Years' War, and he was even described as the father of modern warfare. Super good military leader. He was even mentioned by Napoleon as being one of the best strategists of all time. They made this city for the purpose of basically building a massive factory for gun production. At that point they used flintlock rifles, so they would be producing that. The symbol is a ship and then two guns on top. The gun symbolizes obviously the gun production here, and a ship symbolizes the fact that it has the harbor in the name. This city produced guns and then used the ship to ship them south to Stockholm, where obviously Gustavus Adolphus needed them for his army. 1910. This was made in 1910, and this entire area here supposedly was made in 1910. That's pretty cool. This is a really nice view of the entire city. A little bit of a mountain we're standing on top of right now. It almost looks like a bunker, but it's like basically like they would have cannons here, either like air defense or coast artillery or something. They would have in these two bunkers. They are very old. I even think these are like from the early 1910s or something. There's two of them. There's one there and one over there. I mean, look at this view. I mean, this is a really cool place. It's like a watchtower. Unfortunately, it was not open today. I don't know when it is, but you are supposed to be able to get up there and use it as a watchtower to look over the city. Well, it was a bit of a quick end to this video, but yeah, that's basically it. It was a great journey. I'm back home now, and we're definitely gonna be returning to this location again in the future. If you like this video, there's tons more like this on this channel, and there's gonna be coming tons more in the future. So anyway, thank you so much for watching.